Hi there. So today we are going to see about some basic structures that are involved in the process of photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is a process majorly seen in autotrophic organisms. So autotrophic in the sense the organisms that are capable of synthesizing their own food materials. So what they do means they utilize the light energy from the sun in the presence of carbon dioxide and water to synthesize a sugar molecule or your glucose and release oxygen gas. So as a whole, photosynthesis converts the light energy into a potential chemical energy, and this starts the energy chain in nature. So where does this photosynthesis takes place? So first of all, we need stoma, and second, we need mesophyll cells. So stoma is the singular word for the term stomata. So here the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen takes place. So in case of mesophyll cells, these are the cells that contain the organelle called chloroplast. So now coming to stomata. So these are pores present in plants cuticle through which the water and gases are exchanged between the plants and to the atmosphere. So at the start of the photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide will be entering the cell, and at the end of the photosynthesis process, the oxygen gas is released through the same stomatal pore. So now coming to mesophyll cells. So mesophyll cell majorly consists of this palisade parenchyma and the spongy parenchyma. So in between these structures, we can see the systematic arrangement of this chloroplast where the light reaction and the dark reactions take place. So now coming to the chloroplast. So these are the membrane encased organelle containing chlorophyll where the photosynthesis takes place. So this is the overall structure of the chloroplast. We can see both outer and inner membrane. That's why it is known as the membrane encased organelle. And there is a free flowing colorless fluid matrix surrounding the grana, which is known as our stroma. So this is the region where the dark reaction of photosynthesis takes place. And again, next structure present in chloroplast is thylakoids. So these are membrane bound compartments which are present inside the chloroplast, and the light dependent photosynthesis takes place in thylakoid. And granum or grana is a stack of these thylakoid discs. So always the light reaction takes place in grana. So you can easily remember it as Lg. So light reaction in grana, and your dark reaction D in S. That is, dark reaction is taking place in stroma. So you can easily remember like this. So why are plants so green? Why we are seeing the plants as plants in green color? It is due to the presence of some pigments which are capable of absorbing lights of varying length. So the pigments that are capable of absorbing the light of varying wavelength are majorly present in the chlorophyll. So these chlorophyll pigments harvest the energy of the photons by absorbing certain wavelengths. So these wavelengths can range from 420 nanometer to 660 nanometer. So which is the blue to red color range. And these pigments are of many types. The first and major and the most important pigment is our chlorophyll A, which is responsible for the blue to green wavelengths, and only pigment this is the only pigment that can participate directly in photosynthesis. So there are other pigments other than this chlorophyll A that are called as accessory pigments or antennae pigments. So these absorb light and transfer it to chlorophyll A. So there is the first accessory pigment would be the chlorophyll B, which is responsible for the yellow-green side, and the carotenoids. So these are responsible for the various shades of yellow and orange, and xanthophyll is responsible for purples, and anthocyan is for yellow. So now coming to the part why the plants are so green. So the photosynthetic pigments that are present in plants can absorb most of the spectrum except the spectrum or the wavelengths that are present in the greenish region. So as you can see, the absorption spikes are very high in other wavelength regions except this greenish region. So the greenish wavelength region is always reflected and not absorbed. That's why the human eyes can detect that reflected wavelength which is green in nature. So now, why there is a color change during the fall season? So we have all experienced this color. So it will just the green leaves will turn into golden yellow. So why that change? Because in this season, the chlorophyll A content just gradually reduces from the leaves, and the activities of other accessory pigments are more. And due to this, the green wavelengths are absorbed and not reflected, whereas other dominant red, yellowish, orange colors are now reflected. That's why the change in the color. And the major principle behind this color change is the reduction in the chlorophyll A pigment content. So now coming to photosynthesis as a reaction, both oxidation and reduction takes place. That's why it is known as redox reaction. So in oxidation reaction, either the loss of electrons from a substance happens, or a gain of oxygen molecules happens in an oxidation reaction. So in this photosynthesis equation, you can see that the water molecules get oxidized to form 6 molecules of oxygen. So now in case of reduction reaction, either the gain of electrons to a substance happens or a loss of oxygen will occur in an equation. So again in the same equation, you can see that the carbon dioxide is getting reduced to carbohydrates or your glucose. So in the same reaction, we can see both oxidation and reduction, hence it is called a redox reaction. So now coming to the mechanisms or the reactions involved in photosynthesis, there are mainly two reactions. First one is the light reaction or the light dependent reaction, and the second one can be called as Calvin cycle or the light independent reaction or carbon fixation or C3 fixation. We can call it different names. So in light reactions, it produces energy from solar power or the photons in the form of ATP and NADPH. Whereas in light independent reaction or the dark reaction, it uses the energy, that is the ATP and NADPH, that is being produced from the light reaction to make the sugar or the glucose molecule. So that's an overall mechanism that is involved in photosynthesis. And in the next lecture, we will see these light reaction and the dark reaction in detail. So that's all about for today. So hope to see you in the next lecture. Thank you.